Veteran journalist Bob Woodward has a book coming out, and it is called Fear, Trump in the White House. We've seen a couple of excerpts released so far. It's drawn a lot of controversy. Trump has called Woodward an idiot. It's been the major topic of discussion for the last week or so, but it's another one of those problems that people don't seem to understand the reason for being a problem until you outline it for them. So someone would like it because, like, okay, this is revealing of how Trump has no control of the people under him and yada yada yada. But factor in that we're not getting a book that reveals, the 7 countries we're currently bombing and how the U.S. government under Trump, just like his immediate predecessor, has been committing human rights violations across the world, while the media turns a blind eye to it, thanks to being bought out by defense contractors. We're not hearing about any of that. Instead, we're getting more drama associated with what someone said about someone who said about someone who, if confronted about what they are alleged to have said, will just deny it anyway. And, we've seen these kind of novels come out over and over. There's Everything Trump Touches Dies. That's one book I remember. It has a title vaguely similar to that, where it's his hand or finger. There's another one, Fire and Fury. There's loads of books that have been released that seem to all fit this purpose of defaming Trump, and it's not in the manner that I would look to a someone who's actually substantive, like a Sanders or a Noam Chomsky. It's instead this desire to show instability and piggyback off the fact that a lot of people think this is some tenure that's doing all these unique and strange things we've never seen before, when in reality, aside from a couple of tweets and members of his cabinet getting fired and being salacious after leaving, it's much of the same. And it goes back to a point that was made here before, which is that there is a willingness in the contemporary era, we have the social media and drama and all this other stuff that people find entertaining, to avoid speaking about policy, to try to get away from learning about what's actually going on. And it really does nothing other than persist in distracting a majority of people into thinking this is what needs to be the topic at hand. It's Fox's way. For example, I watched them earlier today. They had the 5 panel talking about the book and about how you had Janine Pirro mentioning how Obama was the reason we got Trump, because he was the establishment. People wanted to shake up and change, and yada yada. She's using this to kind of talk about how great Trump is, but it's all directed toward this novel drama, generalizations, nonsense about the economy and all the things that are too vague and too nuanced for you to really hear out and say, wait a second, is that true? Is that correct? So yeah, the back and forth between Trump and Woodward is probably going to go on for another week or two, maybe for the rest of this month. But it will not be either of those two that loses. Trump will still be president, and Woodward will still be, a veteran journalist who has the respect of, I'd say, a good chunk of people that read his stuff. The people who lose are the Americans that continue to be kept in the dark by the majority of places they get their information from, because they're all scavenging to talk about this novel. For example, I could make I and maybe 1,000 other people could all make videos about this. And they all get about 10, 20, 30 views. We're talking about networks that have millions of people tuning into them at some point during a day or just throughout a day, that could easily bring these topics up and speak about them and say, hey, look, the thing with this book is kind of interesting, but we have other interesting things going on, both domestic and abroad. And they just don't care, and they're allowed not to care because the media figures won't go after them for this. And no one's writing them letters. No one's saying, hey, let's talk about something that matters. None of it. So it's sad. Thank you, and have a good day.